Hello, welcome back to another episode.
Good afternoon.
In a strange week of no club football and what was a rather dull Chinese Grand Prix up till about 5 minutes ago.
Well, I've only just seen it as I've sat down. I don't even know what's happened.
Neither did I until I've literally just walked back in the house, picked myself up off the stairs, having fallen because my back failed. And both Ferraris have been disqualified.
Both of them?
Both Ferraris have been disqualified due to excessive plank wear on the floor. So a bad day for Ferrari just got worse.
Excessive what?
Plank wear. So there's a wooden plank under the car, the skid block, if you want to call it that, that's got to have, I think, if I remember rightly, it's got to have a minimum of 10 mil on it. Could be wrong. Don't quote me on the numbers. And when it's been tested, they've come in under that. And Pierre Gasly's also been disqualified, but the reason for his I'm less certain of right now. He's underweight. So Gasly's car is underweight and Ferraris have failed.
Was Leclerc underweight or was Leclerc the floor? Because it said Leclerc in investigation had been underweight.
Both disqualified cars have failed post-race technical checks. Oh no, Leclerc's car was found to be 1 kilogram underweight, while Hamilton was thrown out for excessive plank wear.
So Ferrari have managed to set one car too low and have one too light.
Leclerc did the one stop, so it could be very similar to Russell in Spa last year, where the tyre degradation has put him underweight potentially. Not enough rubber left on the tyres.
You're going to have to explain. A kilogram's worth of rubber?
Oh, quite easily. Yeah.
Yeah?
The amount of rubber that they'll go through in a race would be extreme. So I'm pretty certain that'll cause Leclerc's.
So we're saying that the one stop is not only shit, it gets you disqualified.
Pretty much, yeah. It wasn't quick, didn't gain them anything, and got them kicked out.
Oh, no, I mean, the cars that were on a one stop, like Lance Stroll, I'm not even sure they've finished race yet, have they?
But funnily enough, Lance Stroll now gets points.
Shut up! Fuck off! Does it?
From 9, well, I think he was 11th or 12th, and then the two cars disqualified, so I think he gets up to 10th in the end.
I don't even know the final. I saw Oscar won.
Oscar won. Lando second by sheer miracle of having no brakes and still getting to the end. Russell third, Max fourth. Unsure after that because they've now all been disqualified.
Yeah, even
so
I have no idea.
The full top 10 now is Piastri, Norris, Russell, Verstappen, Ocon, Antonelli, Albon, Behrman, Stroll, Sainz.
Sainz gets points.
So Sainz and Stroll get points for basically being crap, doing nothing.
They were apologising to Sainz for how bad it had been.
Yep, but he's made it to the end in a legal car, so gets points. And Ocon gets 5th. Apparently, according to Sky Sports News, in an Alpine, but he doesn't drive one of those. He drives a Haas.
No, but he might need some new pants after that overtake.
So yeah, a great weekend for Haas in the end.
They got 2 points scored in cars.
Both cars have ended up in the points, yeah, 5th and 8th. Williams 7th and 10th.
It seems to have been a long weekend of racing, doesn't it?
A long weekend of racing that hasn't been particularly interesting, fun to watch.
I was going to lead with, should we still get rid of the sprint race? But actually, this weekend, it's been the only thing worth watching. No, I do agree it should go. I just didn't think this week was the great week to pick to talk about it because it was actually the only part of the weekend that was worth actually watching. But
the race itself was very dull. It was far too much about tyre management than it was about racing.
In Formula One, and I'm not a Formula One geek, so you have to excuse me. Surely there's a better way of doing this than fuel saving and tyre saving. Is that not totally against what F1 is? F1 to me is the best drivers in the best cars driving flat out for 72 laps to find out who's the best. All we ever seem to do is they're telling Norris to save more fuel, and then once we've got enough fuel, we can attack. Do they not need to change things here so that we're not saving tyres and saving fuel during a race?
So this goes back quite a few years when F1 asked Pirelli to make tyres that wouldn't last as long. So if you get a tyre that can do the whole race, there's no danger of strategy. There's no danger of a tyre falling off a cliff. There's no danger of people getting the pit stops wrong because it's too easy. Because the tyre will do basically the whole race. You pit when you feel like it to the other tyre that will also do the whole race. It becomes very dull.
But
the problem they've done now is
racing flat out and there's mandatory pit stops, then everyone's at the top of the game, aren't they?
But all you end up with is...
Are we saying that we only get overtaken excitement because tyres fall off a cliff and people can't actually drive? I mean, that's not really what we're looking for, is it?
How it's been for the last few years. You've got to think we've put band-aids on gunshot wounds in Formula 1 overtakes for multiple years. DRS is another one. Tyres that firmly degrade is the latest one. It's a difficult balancing act. If you make tyres that are too good, you'd still get people managing them just to get the best out of them. So say the tyre that they ran today could have the medium tyre that they started on, which did about 12 to 17 laps for most people. If you'd have made that tyre that could have done 30 laps, drivers would have driven slower to eke it out to 40 laps. So you would have still had tyre management.
Yeah, but if you mandate that there was 2 pit stops, then people aren't going to do that, are they?
True. That is one possibility.
So if you've got a 70 lap, what I'm trying to say is, if you've got a tyre that can do 30 laps and you mandate in a 56 lap race 2 pit stops, it only needs to do 20 laps. So it's going to run in the prime of its life for a longer period, or less of a period it needs to. So they can go harder on that tyre for longer and use the tyre life up. Yeah, they're still going to take time to warm them up and time to... But there's got to be a better strategy than tyre saving and fuel saving for the first half of a race so that you can actually race in the second half of the race. Why then everyone's too far spread out to actually race because there's 8 seconds between every car and no one actually races each other. We just follow each other at home until somebody's brakes fall off.
So the fuel saving one I can answer pretty easily and is quite basic to understand when you look at the rationale of it. The teams are causing fuel saving. The teams underfuel based on the fact that they expect a safety car. And if they don't, they then have to fuel save. So that's on them. They could fill the car with enough fuel to get to the end of the race without
But
fuel
again,
saving.
why don't they just mandate that they have to have 20 litres more than they need?
No, so they mandate there's a minimum of 100 or a maximum of 105 kilograms. Minimum or maximum, I can't remember which way around it is. So they will
put it up, doesn't it?
But then you're increasing the weight of the cars, which makes them harder to drive, harder to overtake, slower. So, and a team would always go, well, we'll put in as little as a team put in as little as they think they can get away with for a 60, 70 lap race. They always will because they're saving weight. Saving weight saves time.
Just seems to ruin the day for me. Everybody at some point in the race is saving something. And the only time they don't seem to save something is the only time where we seem to get some decent racing where everyone's going flat out.
I think F1 when it came up with this idea around the tyres, it didn't expect teams to do what they did. So they thought, oh, if we make tyres that fall off, everybody will push like mad. And when they fall off, it'd be really exciting. All you've actually got now is teams just driving slow.
Yeah, but what we've actually got is the people running the teams are more intelligent than the people making the rules of the sport, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely, by far.
You know,
it's not even a competition.
The head of the sport is not the most intelligent person in the room by any stretch of the imagination. So
no, it's not even close.
It's like you basically got no chance of outwitting them, even though you think you have. So
absolutely, yeah, they're putting in rules that they think
rules
work.
in place that make the sport better for the people watching it.
I suppose the principle of the rule on paper
things
works, but when you put it into reality, it doesn't, because engineers have always got ways around it, and they'll work.
Everyone can see it, so why don't they just make small adjustments to it season on season to see how it affects the racing?
I think mandating all 3 tyres is the best option. So make them use the soft, medium, and hard.
They should have to use soft, medium, and hard on every race. That would mean you have to pit twice, and you would have ample tyre life through the 3 tyres to get you through the race. I mean, most time people on a soft tyre can do 8 to 10 laps, be able to go flat out, and then they'd swap to the other 2 compounds. They would then get them well into a 56 lap race. You've only got 45 laps to do on a set of mediums and a set of hards. You're going to have plenty of tyre life to attack and drive at a reasonable speed, not be tyre saving. And then we're going to fuel saving mode all the time. And it's like, oh, just get your foot down. I don't want to see people staying 5 seconds behind another car because they're trying to save tyres. I want to see him catch up to him and try and overtake him.
And then you
just
into
jigs
brake
away.
saving mode. When your brakes fail.
And then Alonso's brakes fell off. Lando's brakes fell off.
That one is just mechanical issues, yeah. But Alonso's set on fire and Lando's brake pedal went just to the floor.
I liked how they were so nonchalant, just telling him to carry on. It's all right. It'll only go halfway. And he's like, I'm doing 200 mile an hour here, mate. I'll tell you if my fucking brakes are all right. Not you sat on a wall with a cup of coffee.
What was quite funny, though, is when the problem started, he actually got quicker. You were gaining time.
He weren't fucking braking. I'd get quicker and all. We're going right corners 90% faster. They don't know where slowing it fucking down. You know?
Leclerc went faster with half a front wing, which was also quite strange.
Well, I was going to bring this up too. So this is one of my questions for you on F1, because I've got a few, because I'm not particularly up on it. So the FIA have now told everybody they've got to have stronger wings, shall we say?
Yeah.
More rigid wings. But Ferrari are allowed to drive around with the front wing flapping about wherever it wants. Obviously, not slowing them down, because that's the least. I mean, probably sped him up, but you can't prove that, I suppose, can you? Because he didn't have a wing on for long enough to see how fast they were going. So McLaren and Mercedes can't have their wings moving beyond a certain amount, but yet he can lose an end plate, and this piece just. But when he's braking, he's coming up, and when he's accelerating, he's touching the floor. Obviously, it's aiding him somehow, and they're allowed to carry on and drive around.
Yep.
I'm a total novice to this, and that was the first thing I thought when I saw it move. We're not allowed to have a front wing moving, so surely it's in breach of the law straight away.
Funnily enough, although do have a reasonably larger grasp of the rules of Formula One than yourself, asked this very question in the middle of the race. Surely Ferrari are in breach of flexi wing here, because that wing is literally moving a foot.
I mean, if it was slowing him down, then fine. Yeah. But it clearly wasn't, because he was overtaking every Tom, Dick and Harry possible, lapping as fast as anybody else. So there was no evidence to prove it was slowing him down.
There's quite a substantial amount of evidence that said actually it sped him up because it was saving the front left tyre, which was the difficult tyre around that track. There was less load going through that tyre because there was less aero around it.
I'll tell you what I'd be doing on next race. It's first pit stop. I'd take an hammer to both front end wing things and just knock them off and just drive around. I mean, no one seems to give a shit. I mean, it just makes a total fallacy of the new rule, doesn't it? That you can actually carry on driving around with the front wing doing exactly what it's not supposed to be doing. And I understand you could say it wasn't his fault. It was his fault. It wasn't. I mean, he drove into the back of Hamilton, so you kind of got to say
definitely his fault.
It's even if it wasn't his fault, you're going to say, well, it's going to be penal. That's just unfortunate. It's part of the sport, isn't it? You can't just say, well, it wasn't your fault. It's not Lando Norris's fault. McLaren built a car that the wing moves around, but they have to change it. Or so do Mercedes, and so do all the other teams.
It's in the end, it's not
he got
really
disqualified in the end, so it kind of negates the whole argument. But he got disqualified for something that's mental when he's had a wing
just
fall.
For anybody else,
will have been a kilogram light because half of it fucking missing.
Well, I was just going to come on to that for anybody that is wondering. The front wing will be replaced before being weighed. Any damage can be corrected, because if you can't weigh a damaged car, because that wasn't the weight of the car.
But that was the car that took part in the race.
Anything damaged can be replaced before scrutiny.
That's pointless. The car that actually completed the race was the one with the infringement. Could put parts back on it so that it doesn't make the infringement. Well, they got an advantage by being a kilogram lighter, obviously. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a rule there.
Oh no, he's a kilogram lighter post the wing being fixed. So with the wing back on as a full wing, he's still a kilogram too light.
He's even lighter.
Yes.
So he's more than a kilogram lighter. So he's double cheated. I mean, I've got nothing against Leclerc. I want Ferrari to do well. I quite enjoyed watching Ferrari this weekend. I'm not having a go at Leclerc or Ferrari, but just the whole rule set just seems mental. You can damage your car, drive around, be lighter, come to the end, fix your car, and potentially then pass. Even though you're lighter for the entirety of the race.
Yeah. So he was lighter from lap one.
Oh, well. I didn't think I'd have an optimum about this weekend, but it seems I have.
I mean, the easy way to do it would have been to give him the meatball flag and say, you're driving with a damaged car, you must box at the end of lap one. But
I kept expecting it to happen. And then, obviously, with the various TV cameras around, you get a perfect view of everything, don't you? And they were following the wing down the straight, and it's moving about like I don't know what. I mean, it's everywhere, other than where it should be. And I'm thinking, well, you're in breach of this brand new rule, and it came in last week. It's not like it came in 10 years ago and they forgot. It's literally been in 7 days. And you're letting him race?
Yeah,
I'm not sure
pretty
why.
much.
Mental.
I do find it quite amusing, though, that the new flexing wing rule has come in to basically attack McLaren, and it did nothing.
No, you're not allowed to say that. No, you're not allowed to say that.
But that's what it was. It was the FIA going,
being anti-Max now.
No, I'm not anti-Max. I'm anti the FIA changing rules just because a car's ahead. I was anti them doing it when Mercedes complained in 2022.
Changing rules at all. Don't set rules and then change it because somebody cries.
2022, Mercedes got their car horribly wrong, and Toto Wolff complained for weeks on end that we need to change the rules. And in the end, they did. And they should have said to him, as Christian Horner did, fix your car. And for once, I agreed with Horner.
And I agree totally that. And I was at the time a Mercedes fan. But you can't cry because you built a crap car and asked the FIA to change rules to help you out.
No, completely agree. And
so
Red Bull have done the same.
Can the FA turn the Premier League table upside down then? Because Man United are shit and we'd actually be somewhere near Europe then.
But you'd still be crap at that because you're in the middle of it.
You're not even good at being rubbish.
You're just nowhere. But yeah, so
sprint race, Hamilton actually got a win. I don't know where that came from, and I don't think even he does, or they do, because it was the only part of the weekend where it was actually quick.
I think they made quite a lot of changes between the sprint and the race, and whatever changes they made didn't work because Hamilton was just slow. I mean, it held Leclerc for the whole of the first stint.
It just seems weird to be so good in the sprint, and nobody could catch him. And I understand he was out front, so he ain't got other factors into play, but he weren't following many people in the race for long because they all buggered off in front of him. So how was he so quick on Saturday and yet a bit like a car horse today?
The bit I didn't understand from a Ferrari standpoint is it was quite clearly obvious from early on that Leclerc was being held up. And it took them till well after the pit stops to decide to go, probably should swap these round.
Yeah, it's Ferrari though, isn't it?
It was obvious I'm gonna guess laps ago.
They will have been annoyed that they weren't the first people to say Plan C. They'll be fuming. I mean, he were making some comments to Hamilton down the radio, and it all just sounds very amateurish, doesn't it? It's like, I need advice of where I am. You're slow in turn 1. Well, I know that. You've already told me that. Any more advice? Yeah, you seem slow in turn 9. I'm like, oh my God. Is this a
Leclerc had that later in the race. Basically, he said to me, you've told me that 15 times. Give me something else. Keep saying I'm slow in turn 1 doesn't help.
Not obviously. And I'm like, who's this guy? Is he new? Because he needs training if he is, because he's not very good.
And then they said to Leclerc, don't use the curb in turn 2. And he just went, no.
What other one? UK. What did they say to UK?
Don't push. He went, I want to. They said, we don't want you to. He said, well, I want to. So they said, do what you want.
What you want. Who's in charge here? I mean, the guy in the car's in charge, isn't he? Because he can do what the hell he wants. Unless you're Lando and you can't brake them.
Well, it was like when eventually they said to Lewis, let Leclerc through, and he went, no, I'll decide when that happens, thanks.
Well, he said it the only time after he got stuck behind, Stroll got stuck behind, and there's actually been a gap formed. They then said, oh, let him through. And I was like, well, I'm not going to slow down to let him through. Let him catch up to me, and I won't fight him type of approach, which is common sense. But they were asking him to sort of back off by 2 seconds just to let him through. And I'm like...
Yeah, Ferrari are concerning me that we're going... Fred Vasseur seemed to have ironed out a lot of these issues over the last 2 years of kind of getting them to be less stupid, but it seems to be creeping back in quite a lot all of a sudden that the radio messages are thick, the calls are stupid, we're holding each other up for no apparent reason when it was obvious Leclerc was miles quicker and probably could have got after Russell earlier in the race. It just looked a bit like amateur hour.
It all sounded very... Yeah, in my head, I always have a Formula 1 team. They've all got most scenarios planned out.
Yeah.
If by here you're there, this is what we'll do. If you're here, we'll do that. If this happens, we'll do this. But whenever anything seems to happen, whether it rains or whether there's a safety car or whether there's a yellow flag or whether you're stuck behind the team, they just never seem to have a fucking clue what they're doing. It's like... And it almost seems to me like nobody knows who's in charge. They daren't tell the driver to do something because he's going to come back and say, I'm not doing it. I mean, it happened at Mercedes quite a lot. Toto Wolff would come on the radio and say something. I'm thinking, why has he had to get involved in this? Why are the guys that are giving the instructions not got the authority to say, right, this is what we do? Or stay off the radio and let the drivers race. But it just don't. No one seems to be in control. It seems to be like a kindergarten where there's just kids running riot and they're all trying to control them. I mean, last week it rained, and all right, rain throws a spanner in the works, but it just seems blind panic. I mean, how many races in Formula One history has it rained? Thousands. Why does no one seem to understand that when rain falls from the sky, you need to be on a different fucking tyre immediately? Why do they? I mean, they're going around like they're on ice skates, and then they're surprised that they're in gravel, and I'm like, well, I know that. You must know that. You spend hours and hours planning these races out, and as soon as it's not a perfect race, it all goes to shit.
The only person it didn't go really to shit for was Oscar. He just drove round at the front on his own, had quite a nice Sunday morning.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think of Lando's weekend from start to finish?
Crap.
Yeah, I thought
it's a very Lando-esque weekend from the middle of last season where...
You know how well I likened his weekend to? George Russell. That was a George Russell weekend. He just kind of turned up and didn't do anything. He just kind of plodded around the track in a car that was obviously fast.
Russell did it again, though, to third place, just like he did last week in Australia, just plodded round on his own.
The commentator said it in the sprint, didn't he? Well, George Russell's finished the race in whatever position he finished. I don't think I mentioned him. And I'm like, yeah, kind of a bit flat, isn't he? But Lando just didn't do anything, did he, all weekend? You know, not once looked at him and thought, yep, he's going to do something. He just seemed to be always second to somebody, or ninth, as it were. After
the sprint start went horribly wrong, as they usually do. He got caught on the outside curb at the hairpin and ended up losing 3 places, I think it were. But then the start of the Grand Prix this morning, great start, passes Russell around the outside. You're thinking, right, race on between the McLarens, and then nothing. Oscar just drove away.
He was second behind him. Then I know he lost some time at the pit stops because of when he pitted, but he just never seemed to fight for it, did he?
No, it never looked likely that there was a battle there.
I can only refer back to certain people, and I always refer back to Max. If Max was Lando today, he's not just going to follow his teammate around 4 and 5 seconds behind him. He's just not. That's not going to happen, is it? He just, I don't know. He just seemed a bit not interested already.
Yeah, it's very, very strange.
I mean, it was interesting to see Max at turn 1, 2, and 3. He was very cautious
and losing positions quite quickly.
Not leading the championship. It's quite interesting to see how different he is when he's not 35, 40 points in front that can just push people around. He quickly moved out of the way of everybody, didn't he, in the first few turns?
Yeah, because at the minute, I think he's kind of realised that he's in damage control because he doesn't have the fastest car. He's got somewhere between the 2nd and the 4th fastest car, depending what track and what conditions we've got.
Yeah.
Right now, I think he's just thinking, I've got to get points, and me trying to send it up the inside of somebody or get involved in a scrap, he could have ended up with a broken wing, which would have made him really quick, but that's besides the point, or last, or in a hedge. So at the minute, you've got to see he's driving more intelligently than he's probably driven in a long time.
Oh, yeah. It was just interesting to see that if that China race happened when he's 40 points in front, probably 2 of them cars don't pass him because he just sits there and thinks, well, we'll have a crash then.
Yeah.
I know.
As Jack Doohan decided to do later in the race, blocking Hadjar, basically every time Hadjar went near him, Doohan just went, I'm going to get in your way and we'll have a crash if we have to.
Weren't there 2 overtakes on the grass down the back straight? I didn't see the second one, but I saw the dust. And I thought, well, someone's been on the grass again.
It was just very dusty offline. They were still on the track, but it was just a lot of dust way, way wide.
There was one, wasn't there, where... Was it Ocon? Who had 2 wheels on the grass?
Can't remember.
Who did he go up the inside? He went up the inside of Antonelli, did he?
Oh, yeah. Just after the pit stops.
On the grass. That was... I mean, I was quite scared and I was sat half the way around the world from him. I thought, fucking hell. At that point, you're just in the hands of the gods, aren't you?
Anything you're in that. You're shutting your eyes and you're just hoping that it ends how you want it to.
The next thing you hit is the accelerator coming out the other corner, not the wall at the end.
But speaking of Antonelli, again, pretty quiet weekend, but picks up another 6th place. That's a 4th and a 6th in 2 races. Granted, not particularly on merit. I don't think either of them. I think he's got lucky both weekends, but still he's picking up good points.
But as a kid, for him, all he can do right now is finish the races, don't have accidents, and be in and around the top 10 to mop up. unlike,
Yeah.
let's say, Liam Lawson, who got praised by a commentator for today for passing what I can only describe as a high visibility tractor for 17th, and the commentator gave him a pat on the back. I'm not sure if he's friends with his dad or something, but I mean, talk of Lando doing nothing all weekend. I'm not even sure that lad turned up for most of it.
Well, he's not actually started on the grid yet in 2 weeks. He started from pit lane every time.
Yeah, he's had a bad start now. You look at some of the. I mean, Antonelli's in Mercedes, all right, which looks quite decent this season, but historically, it's been a poor car for the last 3 or 4 years. He's in what has been arguably the best car for the last 3 or 4 seasons, which has dropped off a little bit, and he's nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near.
There's rumours that he won't have a job in 2 weeks come Japan.
I mean, I don't agree with people getting sacked like this, but yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like a Formula One driver, does he? He looks literally like he's won a competition on the back of a box of Cheerios to be a Formula One driver. I mean, I reckon other than the car breaking my neck going around the G-force, I reckon I've got as much chance of getting points as he has at the minute.
The problem is, though, if you're anybody that's about to take that seat, it's just a poison chalice.
It's like taking Man United job, isn't it?
I mean, the chances are they're going to give it Yuki if they do kick him out. Yuki's looking quite good in that RB until the front wing collapsed for no apparent reason, which kind of ruined his race. But why would you go to that Red Bull seat? The car's clearly built for a style of driving that not many people have. Max has a very specific way of driving that car, and he can make it do it. If you can't drive like Max, even if you don't have the ability to drive as quick as his, but to like the style of car that he does, you've no chance. Because the car's basically a tractor if you can't drive it the way he does. If you can drive it the way he does, it's quick, and it's a very good car. But it's just so difficult to get to that window because it's very specific the way you've got to drive it. And Lawson doesn't have the talent or the know-how.
Any talent, I would hesitate to say, because I don't think you could have drove a car much worse than Sergio Perez drove it last year, but this guy's figured a way.
I mean, I could give him more leeway if he was Kimi Antonelli, who's literally done 2 races. Liam Lawson done 11 races before this season in the RB, which wasn't a particularly good car, and managed to get and look decent in it quite a lot of the time. He's gone into one of the better cars and looks lost, out of his depth.
You did say that it wouldn't last very long, didn't you?
So. I did predict this one. I've got something right and granted, it's probably going to happen quicker than I thought. I didn't think he'd be 2 races in no grid starts in a hedge.
He's going to be quickly unemployed, isn't he? I hope he's got a good pension.
It's concerning for him that 3 cars have been disqualified and he still isn't in the top 10.
Not even close, is it? No. That's what I'm saying about Antonelli. You don't have to be right now. You've just got to keep your nose clean. You've got to get to the end of the races. You've got to be in and around a decent place so that you can pick up points when you can. Just, but you can't be 17th and 18th and expect anything good to happen for you.
No, it's just gone horrendously wrong for him, let's be honest. So where did he actually end up now? Everybody else has been disqualified. He still ended up 12th.
12th, wow.
He ended up behind Hajar, which is just, I mean, when you're in a Red Bull and there's 5 cars not finished and you're not in the points.
Yeah.
And 2 of the finishing cars are high visibility tractors. It's,
They don't count.
He couldn't have got much worse, really. So he's basically beaten Sonoda, who broke his wing, 5 retired cars and 2 tractors, and Jack Doohan.
Done well. So he's not beating anyone, really.
He's done nothing. He's driven around for 2 hours in China, and he's achieved next to nothing.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's not gone particularly well for him.
I saw quite an interesting stat the other day, which I'm sure you will be aware of, but I thought I'd just bring it up anyway. It was during pre-practice on Friday, I think someone wrote it up. The guy who does the analysis, the Indian, I think he's Indian.
He is Karun Chanduk.
Yes, he said
He is
that
Indian.
there are 4. If you change 4 races in history, and I understand that this is hypothetical, Lewis Hamilton would be an 11-time world champion.
Yes.
I found that absolutely amazing. 4 single races would give him 4 more titles. 2 of them.
So I was trying. I can't remember the 4 that he quoted, but I'm pretty sure in that list, did he miss out 2007 as well? No, he didn't. He got 2007 Brazil when his gearbox failed. It's 2021.
Yeah,
There's 2016 Malaysia where the engine blows up when he's cruising, and I can't think of what the 4th one is. But yeah, it is quite strange that he's literally
4 races away, and none of them were in his control. And I know you could say that about loads of people. I'm sure he went back through the history books, but to go from being a 7-time world champion to an 11-time world champion with changing of 1 race for 4 seasons, that's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. So 2007,
over that period.
2007, there's actually 2 races that you could change. So China, he's coming into the pit lane.
Well, there is in 2021, isn't there? Because
Baku.
There's the cheating by the FIA to fix the whole entire season because it didn't go their way, and then there's Baku where he puts and I understand that that's not, but if he wins that race, probably at the end of the last race of the season is not relevant anyway. So there's 2 races in the 21 season where, and like I say, I know hypothetically we can go back through every drive and say, well, if this had happened, if Vettel hadn't crashed in Germany in the rain, then does his season not fall apart? But I just thought it was so dramatic. There's 4 races you can change in history, and he gets 4 more titles. That's a crazy stat, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's
unheard. I mean, it's like saying change 4 results in football in the history. I don't think you'd see that dramatic change for any football club, where they pick up 4 more Premier League titles, or
like you say, them 4 races means he's statistically the greatest that ever been and ever would be, because nobody had then won 11 titles. I don't think after that, because nobody else has got the longevity. I don't think
11. That is mental. Yeah. So basically, he's had 11 seasons where he's been about the best driver.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I just thought that was unbelievable when he said it. I didn't fact check it, but I believe he knows F1 better than me, so I took it as it was.
Karun is very, very good. He's really good to listen to as well. He's very knowledgeable and very detailed in what he says. But yeah, I think it's just it will go down in history as unlucky. But I suppose, like you said, there's a lot of drivers in sports that you can do that.
Gerrard up against Chelsea to Liverpool win a title. You can go through all the sports and pick them out. There'll always be ones, but for one guy to have 4 races changed across his career and give him 4 more titles, that's just crazy. To get 1, if they turn around and said, we fix 1 race and you get 1 title, that'd be crazy just to think that you were so close. But 4 times he's missed out because of 1 race.
Yeah, it's really unreal.
It's properly unheard of, I think, isn't it?
But I think moving on from F1, the only really other thing that's happened this weekend is we've had some international football.
Yep, I watched Italy versus Germany. International football. 2 of the best sides in Europe playing each other. Anybody else played?
Apparently England did on Friday night.
Oh, did they?
They did.
Gareth Southgate still manager?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think he is. Just got a bit of a German twang to him. And an angry look in his face.
Slow passing. There was a lot of moving the ball sideways.
A lot of sideways passing, yeah.
There was a lot of bringing Jordan Henderson on.
Yeah, well, my first note is I struggled to stay awake during this game. And I watched it Saturday morning after I just got up. So it wasn't because I was tired. But I felt like I needed to go back to bed after it because I was rather sleepy.
It was horrendous.
Well, I think we've got to start by saying it's his first game, and you don't build Rome in a day. You don't change things overnight. It's different for internationals because you get to pick your players. You don't get to pick your players when you go into a football club. You've got 22 players, 25 players that are employed there. You have to deal with them. You can pick from a list of players as long as I do not know. But some of the choices he made, I've got no idea why. I'm hoping it's because of injuries, and hoping with, in the next international break, we've got a totally different squad. I just didn't see what we did different.
Nothing.
We seem to play
Absolutely
pretty
not.
much the formation that we played before. I've seen one headline that says the German brings in the pressing game, and I thought, well, we were playing Albania, so I'm not sure that if you can't press against Albania, then I'm not sure what you can or can't do. We just looked slow, lethargic, void of ideas.
It was very much what I would call a modern football performance. We controlled the ball. We had a lot of the ball. It was very slow. It was very ponderous. It was very European, I suppose, if you look at it from that sense.
It was very English.
Yeah, but if you go back to Italy of old, Germany of old, it was very much keep the ball, dominate the game, nick a goal where you can, but you're constantly on them. Whereas we just do it in kind of a worse, slower version.
I'm fine with that in certain games. You can't always be exciting, but we're playing Albania.
And tomorrow's Latvia.
Yeah, well, the shock came to me when I actually came to put the game on before, because I must have gone on to upcoming games and it said England, Latvia. And I thought, well, I'm sure we're playing Albania, but I don't think it matters. We could have played Albania and Latvia at the same time. We should still beat them. No, I mean,
yeah, it was just poor.
I just feel like someone needs to take the shackles off and say, we're playing Albania. Let's go for them. Let's go for it. Let's get your two wide men up high, or your two wide men that are inside, get your fullbacks up high. Let's get one man in midfield. Let's get the ball forward quickly. Let's just go at them. And we just seem scared that Albania might take us apart. So we played within ourselves and cagey.
I mean,
you know,
it's difficult when a team comes like that puts 11 men behind the ball in a low block that you can't really break down. But if you to do it, you've got to beat it with pace. You only beat a defensive stature like that and basically two solid banks of four in a big wall with pace. Because if you just pass it around in front of them, they'll just stand there all day and watch it. They don't want to come after the ball because that's not what the game plan is. The game plan is to stop them.
They can't be compact because they've got to go out to you.
Exactly.
We play through the middle where they've got basically 9 players. I just don't understand how we think that's the right way. I mean, it's almost a pointless game, isn't it? Try something different. Give it a go.
I mean, Henderson did something different. He came on and passed the ball backwards when we had a corner, and we ended up with our goalkeeper within 20 seconds.
I don't know. I'm not excited at the moment. I'm struggling to get excited.
Basically, one of my notes was same shit, different manager.
Yeah. So far, I mean, it is game 1. We're going to have to give him a chance. I mean, he's going to get a chance, so it's irrelevant in it whether we want to give him it or not.
It's weird that a manager can come in. It's not a club, so he can pick whoever he wants. So he's got to have told them to play the same way because he's picked these players and told them what he wants, and all they've done is come out and do exactly the same as they did under Southgate. So that's either the players don't listen, or they're getting the same instruction.
But these players don't do this for the club sides, do they?
Yeah.
So it's not.
So it just doesn't make sense.
It's not like we've just picked all Man United players and have come here and just been shit because they're shit for Man United. We've brought in supposedly the players that are in form, playing good football right now for their club. We haven't done that, but that's the theory that we're supposed to work to. But surely when they come in, they're all in form. They're all playing well. They're all happy. And so there's no excuses for them not to transfer their form into this team if they're given the style of play that suits them. So are we playing a style of play because we're England and that's the way we play it? Or are we playing a style of play to suit the players that we're picking? Have we picked a team based around a formation, or have we picked a formation based around a team? It just doesn't seem to be either.
Yeah, it is literally that confusing because we're not playing to the players' strengths. We're not putting a formation that's to the strength of our attacking ability as a nation because defensively we're crap, let's be honest. We're weak. We can't hold teams in that sense. So we've got to do what we're strong at, and what we're good at is playing fast-flowing attacking football with the attacking players that we've got. So why have we not lent into that yet? We've had this sort of crop of players for 5 years now.
Albania and Latvia is the perfect opportunity to say, balls to defending, we don't need to work on that. Let's go and do what we can do. And if we beat Albania 7-3, then you think, well, at least I've seen something different.
Yeah.
But to beat Albania 2-0 and that performance, I just don't know what I take from it. And I just can't imagine what's going to happen tomorrow night or Tuesday night or when do we
Do you know what I took from that game? Absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
It was
Skelly
dull.
scored a very nice goal.
Yep.
Harry Kane does what Harry Kane does, which is what I've said. Harry Kane goes to the World Cup, but he cannot be our starting striker because he's turgid for 80 minutes and does nothing. But he has got a fantastic finish on him. Had he come on with 15 minutes to go, it'd have probably been perfect for him. But yeah, there's not a lot of excitement.
Rashford did nothing. Foden did nothing. Rice didn't do a fat lot.
But again, we're looking at him saying, "Oh, has Rashford really done anything for Villa to make him worthy of being picked for England? You know, surely Gordon's playing better for Newcastle and various other people." I just feel like we've picked a team again. It's like we've picked the team that he likes rather than the team that's of any use to us whatsoever.
I mean, he played Dan Burn at centre half, which I thought was unusual, but fair enough. But then he's put Livramento in the squad and played Kyle Walker. Why?
Yeah, again.
Why?
Well, I said this when he picked him. So, has he picked Kyle Walker and Henderson because they're going to the World Cup?
I don't know.
He picked him because he got nobody else? But he had other people, so why does Kyle Walker start?
Don't know.
I can't see a plus to Kyle Walker starting. You know what you're going to get with Kyle Walker. You don't need to play Kyle Walker to learn anything about him. He must have watched 100 games with Kyle Walker in it. He's managed in the Premier League multiple times. You're not telling me he needs to cast an eye over Kyle Walker. So why has he played?
Don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Did we need Kyle Walker against Albania? Was there a specific threat from Albania that we thought, well, the only man that can deal with this is Kyle Walker? I don't think so. I don't know any of their players. There was one. I mean, the only player they've got that's known is Brozier, and he's on bench. The only actual threat they've got didn't even play. I just don't understand the thought process. That's what worries me more. It's because he's going to repeat this same thought process when he picks his next team. And
absolutely.
If you don't understand it, then that concerns me a lot more than him doing something and me thinking, well, at least I see what he's doing. I don't agree with it, but I see what he's doing. I just don't understand what thoughts have gone through his head to make him come to these decisions. I mean, how many of the 4 goalkeepers have played so far?
Just the one.
Which one was it that played?
Just the Pickford.
Just the guy that plays every time for England has played what? This one game in 50-something, has he?
Something like that, yeah.
So what was the point in picking 4 goalkeepers? Are all the other 3 going to play tomorrow night or Monday night or Tuesday night?
Highly unlikely.
No, are any of them going to play?
I mean, it'd be interesting because if we're going to play all 4 goalkeepers and we only get 5 subs, so 3 of them would be goalkeepers.
Mental, absolutely mental. But he knew he was going to do this, so what's he picked him for?
No idea.
Just to wind them up. You know, it's like all this talk about Ben White and him coming back. Ben White decided he didn't want to play for England for whatever reason. I don't agree with his reasoning. It's pathetic. He's a child. Once you've chosen not to play for England, you're not playing for England no more in my eyes. He should not come back. I don't care how good he is. You will let your country down by deciding you're not playing for him. So you're not playing for him no more. Goodbye.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you on that one. He said he wasn't eligible to be picked.
I can't give a shit if he's the best player in the world. If you're going to turn your back on your country over some argument with some physio or whatever assistant, then you need to grow up. So no, don't bring him back ever. And if I were me, the first thing I'd done when I walked in and said, Ben White will never be picked for England while I'm manager. Done. And just gets rid of it. He doesn't seem to care. So why should anyone else care?
He declared himself unavailable for England, so now he's declared himself available. I'd be saying, well, I'm declaring you're unavailable.
That's not how it works. You play for England because it's a dream. You play for England because it's your country. You don't play for England because you've got a bit of spare time.
You're just not busy next Tuesday.
We've got enough idiots playing for England that aren't good enough. Without people coming in that don't want to be there as well. So, yeah, you can go. I fixed international football anyway.
Oh, have you?
I had a long hour to think about it. I had an hour and a half on Saturday morning with nothing to do because I was watching England. Why do we have these games? So I looked at the fixtures when I was flicking through because I'd gone on the wrong bit, and there weren't one game worth watching other than 2 semi-finals of a Nations League that the playoff, which turned out to be Germany, Italy, so I watched that. Some of the games were, I mean, I'm just looking here, we've got Bosnia and Cyprus and San Marino and Romania later. Which is going to be exciting. Along with Lithuania and Finland, Albania and Andorra. I mean, they're the only games on. England play Latvia as well, so
That's tomorrow.
none of them games are well, yeah, sorry, I'm on my usual time frame. None of them games are worth watching, are they?
No.
Why don't we have these tournaments where the top 32? I mean, I know there's 60 million teams in the World Cup now, where the top 32 ranked teams automatically qualify. Because if this was golf or snooker or darts or any other sport, all the top players would automatically go to the tournament because that's the idea. So top 32 teams qualify for the World Cup automatically. So they don't need to play these stupid games every Tuesday night that we've got to sit and watch. They're in. They're qualified. They're in. Now, I know they need to play some games. So while they're sat waiting for all the Finlands and the Maltas to qualify between themselves, which they can all play each other happily because they'll all be great at playing each other. They'll love it. And they'll win some games. Malta won't go 52 games without a win. They'll beat somebody because they're playing Cyprus. So I didn't even know the football team until I just read this. They'll all play each other to qualify for the other spots. But the top 32 teams that have already been given it will play in a little tournament in their own confederations to see who ranks 1 to, I don't know, depending on how many is in your confederations. Let's say the 16 European teams qualify. 1 to 16 will all play each other in a small league to see who qualifies. But we'll get to watch England play Germany every week, England play Italy, Spain play France, and all these good sides play. So they all qualify automatically. We get to rank themselves in a little league. And all the other teams play each other to get in. At least then, all the games are worth watching.
Or we can just ignore the ones that are not when Cyprus play Albania.
Well, we don't have to watch them, do we? Because they're not as relevant to us at all. They can go on Channel 5 or ITVB or something. But when I turn my telly on for international break, at least I know that I've got 8 good games to watch because it's going to be the top 32 teams playing each other, preparing for a tournament. I just don't understand why we're the only sport in the world where England is trying to qualify for a World Cup. It would be a bigger miracle if we didn't qualify for this World Cup.
Oh, absolutely.
So what's the point?
Because we're playing, we've got Latvia, Albania, and Andorra in our group.
I don't even know, mate. I've never looked.
That's the sum of our group.
Yeah, Albania, Andorra, and Latvia.
Is that it? Yeah.
I mean, we shouldn't qualify. We should be banned from the World Cup if we concede a goal. I mean, we should have a 2-point deficit if we concede a shot. I just think we could just do it a lot better. You could rank the top 30 so many teams and they could automatically qualify. They could play each other in a playoff to rank themselves in the World Cup. And all
Sorry,
the other teams
we did miss a team. We also have Serbia in our group who haven't played a game yet.
I've got another
I don't know when they play because they're not down to play tomorrow either, I don't think. So I don't know when they're actually playing. But
Albania, Andorra, England, Latvia.
Yes, we'll have all played 2. Serbia won't have played any.
So that means the next international break, there's a good chance that England are going to have a friendly to play.
Senegal. We play once in the next break, and we also play Senegal in friendly, I think.
Because Senegal are a good test for us and will help us prepare for the World Cup?
Yeah, I mean, we play them on the 10th of June. Having played Andorra 3 days earlier.
Oh, at least there's no more international breaks in that end of season then.
Yeah, so it's June and then September and then October and then November. Oh, God. It's the same as this season, though, isn't it? It's September, October, November. There's international breaks every about 4 to 5 weeks.
We'll stop watching.
So,
football.
well, we've done well here. It's said there's not much happening in sport this week. We've managed to complain for the best part of 50 minutes about how it's all been terrible.
I didn't think we would this week. I thought there was going to be quite a lot of positivity until I turned football on Saturday morning. I thought Formula One's going to be on. There's never much to complain about there other than Lance Stroll being crap. And it's been rubbish, hasn't it? Formula One's
Ferrari got disqualified. Lawson was crap. England were crap. Lando was crap. Yeah, it's all just been
epic. Absolutely. What an epic week of sport.
Yeah.
Any other sports gone on that we're not aware of?
Nope. There's nothing happened in the world. It's all irrelevant, and there's just no point in any of it this weekend.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm sorry to everybody that we've wasted 50 minutes of your life if you've bothered to get to the end of us rambling this far. I don't think I can fill any more time complaining because I'm actually beginning to hate the sound of my own voice.
And I think if you want saving from more boring stuff to watch, don't watch England on Monday.
Nope, I won't. I might watch the grass grow, or I might go and stand in a field and predict the weather.
Well, I'll tell you who you can watch. Actually watch a game that's worth watching. I think Germany might play Italy again, although it doesn't look like that's happening anymore.
It doesn't like happening anymore. What? We've just decided they're not bothered.
Well, there is another leg to play, but it don't look like they're playing it.
That'll be June.
That's the only game I could find in all the international games that was worth watching.
So yeah, I think
I don't know when it is.
I'm done complaining.
We'll be back next weekend to discuss England again. There's no Formula 1 next weekend, is there?
No, but the Premier League will have returned by the time we are back with you all next week.
Oh, fantastic. Back to watching Man United again.
So now we've depressed everybody on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. Hope you all have a great week, and we shall speak to you all again very soon.